When we say that the Lord is our shepherd, we are declaring something far deeper than a comforting line in Scripture. We are acknowledging a God who is not distant, not silent, not passive, but intimately involved in every detail of our lives. A shepherd is not a figure who stands on a hill and simply watches the flock from afar. A shepherd moves with the sheep, listens to their breathing, understands their fears, knows their weaknesses, and anticipates their needs before they even arise. To call God our shepherd is to recognize that He is the one who steps into the rhythm of our lives, guiding each step, steady in our hearts, and leading us with a love so intentional that nothing about our journey is ever accidental. A shepherd knows the terrain better than the sheep ever could. He knows where the rocky places are, where the predators hide, where the dangerous cliffs drop, and where the peaceful waters flow. In the same way, God walks ahead of us, already aware of every twist and turn that today will bring. He knows the conversations we will have, the challenges we will face, the weight on our shoulders, and the silent battles in our thoughts. Long before we open our eyes in the morning, He is preparing the path. Long before fear tries to creep into our hearts, He has already arranged the comfort. Long before doubt rises, He has already spoken the truth over us. A shepherd does not wait for trouble to show up. He goes ahead and makes a way where danger cannot easily reach. To say the Lord is our shepherd is also to understand that He leads with both strength and tenderness. He is strong enough to protect us from every enemy that seeks to destroy our peace, yet gentle enough to carry us when our own strength fails. A shepherd doesn't scold a wounded sheep. He binds its wounds. He doesn't reject a lost sheep. He goes searching for it until it is found. God deals with us the same way. Even when we wander, even when we break, even when we lose our sense of direction, He doesn't leave us in our confusion. He calls us back, not with anger, but with compassion. He corrects us, not to punish us, but to guide us back to safety. There is also a powerful assurance that comes from knowing the shepherd is committed. A hired hand may abandon the flock when danger approaches, but a true shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. God's commitment to us is not seasonal, not temporary, and not dependent on our performance. His care is anchored in His character, not our perfection. He watches over us through the day and through the night, when we are aware and when we are unaware, when we are faithful and even when we are not. The shepherd stays. He guards. He leads. He provides. He comforts. He remains. This guiding presence means we never have to figure life out alone. We do not walk blindly into situations without divine wisdom whispering direction. We do not fight unseen battles without supernatural strength covering us. And we do not face uncertainty without the steady hand of the one who sees the end from the beginning. When the Lord is our shepherd, we can move through life with a quiet confidence, knowing that every step is under the watchful care of a God who leads with purpose, protects with power, and loves without limits. There is a profound comfort in knowing that we are never alone, that no matter the circumstances we face, God is present with us. Life can often feel overwhelming. We encounter storms we did not anticipate, face burdens heavier than we believe we can bear, and walk through valleys so dark that fear threatens to take hold. Yet, in the midst of all of this, we can hold fast to the truth that we are not walking alone. The Lord is with us. His presence is not conditional on our success, our understanding, or even our faithfulness. It is constant, unwavering, and deeply personal. This is the kind of companionship that transforms our perspective on every trial and every triumph. To be alone is to feel isolated, abandoned, and vulnerable, but the reality of God's presence changes everything. When we feel unseen, He sees. When we feel unheard, He listens. When we feel weak, He strengthens. There is a difference between knowing about God and experiencing His nearness, and the experience of His presence is what sustains us when the path is difficult. It is the gentle whisper that says, I am here. I have not left you. I will not leave you. It is the invisible hand that steadies us when we falter, the unseen shield that protects us from harm we cannot even perceive. The presence of God is active, not passive. It is involved, not distant. It is intimate, not generic. Understanding that we are never alone also changes the way we respond to fear and uncertainty. Fear thrives on isolation. It grows when we believe we must navigate life challenges without guidance or support. But when we recognize that God is walking with us, that He is aware of every step we take and every obstacle we face, fear loses its grip. We begin to move forward with confidence, knowing that we are accompanied by one who is infinitely wise, infinitely strong, and infinitely loving. Even in moments of uncertainty, we are not wandering blindly. Every step is guided. Every decision is under His watchful eye. Every setback is an opportunity for Him to demonstrate His care and faithfulness. Moreover, God's presence is not limited to the times of visible need or crisis. It is with us in the ordinary moments as well, in the routines of daily life, in the quiet moments of reflection, and even in the stillness of our hearts. His companionship is constant, a steady rhythm that never falters. When we rise in the morning, He is there. When we go to sleep at night, He is there. When we laugh and celebrate, He rejoices with us. When we grieve or struggle, He mourns with us. There is no moment of our lives that exists outside of His presence. Knowing that we are never alone also invites a deeper trust. We can release the anxiety that comes from trying to control every outcome, because we are walking alongside a God who holds the future in His hands. We can surrender our fears, our doubts, and our burdens, confident that we are being carried by a presence that is faithful, powerful, and loving beyond measure. This is the assurance that transforms ordinary mornings into prayers, ordinary challenges into opportunities for faith, and ordinary lives into testimonies of His abiding presence. When we truly grasp that we are never alone, life's storms lose their terror, life's darkness loses its power, and life itself becomes a journey of profound hope and unshakable peace. There is a remarkable promise in knowing that God restores what is broken, that He does not leave our lives in fragments or despair, but brings healing, renewal, and wholeness to every area that has been damaged by pain, failure, or loss. Life has a way of leaving us weary, battered, and sometimes questioning whether we will ever be made whole again. Circumstances can shake our confidence, relationships can fracture, dreams can be deferred, and the burdens of yesterday can press heavily upon us. Yet, in the midst of all of this, God steps in as the ultimate restorer. He does not just patch the broken pieces together, He makes them new. He breathes life into what seems dead, and He turns scars into testimonies. When we walk with the shepherd, nothing remains permanently broken because His power to restore surpasses every human limitation. Restoration begins with the heart. Even when our emotions have been bruised, our self-esteem has been wounded, or our spirits feel depleted, God offers a renewal that cannot be measured by worldly standards. He revives our hope, strengthens our courage, and infuses our minds with clarity. The restoration He brings is not superficial. It is not temporary or conditional. It touches the deepest parts of our being, just as a shepherd tends to the injured sheep, carefully binding wounds and nurturing strength. God tends to our hearts and souls. He does not ignore the pain or pretend it does not exist. Instead, He walks with us through it gently but firmly, guiding us toward healing and completeness. Brokenness can appear in many forms. There are relationships that have been strained or lost opportunities that have slipped through our fingers, and mistakes that have left lasting consequences. But God's restoration transcends all these. He can mend broken relationships by teaching forgiveness and understanding. He can open doors that were once closed or create new paths that lead to fulfillment and purpose. Mistakes that feel permanent are transformed into lessons that propel us into wisdom and growth. Every area of life that has been marred by human weakness or the trials of the world is a canvas for God's redemptive power. Even more, God restores with precision and intention. He does not simply give us back what we lost. He often restores with more than we expected, adding depth, perspective, and resilience. What once seemed like a setback becomes a setup for something greater. He restores not just to the point of where we were, but beyond, equipping us with new strength, insight, and courage to face future challenges. This restoration reminds us that our past does not define us, our failures do not limit us, and our pain does not have the final say. The process of restoration also invites trust. It asks us to believe that even when we cannot see the way forward, God is at work behind the scenes, orchestrating our healing and preparing us for a future that surpasses what we imagine. It requires patience and faith, but it is never in vain. With each step of trust, with each moment of surrender, His restorative power unfolds, turning brokenness into beauty, loss into gain, and despair into hope. When we fully embrace the truth that God restores what is broken, we begin to walk confidently in His peace, knowing that no matter how fragmented our lives may seem, His hands are skilled in making all things new. Life is filled with valleys, moments of struggle, pain, uncertainty, and fear. These valleys are not just metaphorical. They represent the seasons when life presses down on us, when the weight of circumstances seems unbearable, and when hope feels distant. Yet the beauty of these valleys lies in their temporary nature. They are not the destination. They are part of the journey. Though we may walk through them, we are never meant to remain there. Every valley has a beginning and an end, and every shadow we face is an invitation to lean into God's guidance and strength. It is in these valleys that our faith is tested, our character is refined, and our dependence on God becomes real and tangible. Walking through a valley does not mean that we are abandoned. Even when darkness surrounds us, the Lord is with us. The rod and staff of the shepherd are there to guide, protect, and comfort. The valley may feel long and overwhelming, but it is never beyond his control. Every step we take is known to him. Every tear is counted, and every fear is addressed by his love. When we recognize that we are not walking alone, the valley transforms from a place of despair to a place of growth. It is a place where we learn resilience, patience, and perseverance. It is a place where we discover the depth of God's faithfulness and the strength he provides. Valleys teach us to trust beyond what we can see. They challenge our reliance on human understanding and invite us to embrace divine guidance. When the path seems unclear, we learn to follow the shepherd's voice rather than our own limited perspective. The shadows that seem threatening are reminders that light is near and that God's presence is constant. Even in moments of fear, when we feel the darkness closing in, the promise remains we will walk through it. We will emerge on the other side. The valley is not the end of the story. It is a chapter that leads to restoration, joy, and renewal. These valleys also reveal what is inside us. When life is easy, our faith may remain dormant, untested, and unproven. But in times of trial, we are forced to confront our weaknesses, to let go of self-reliance, and to embrace God's strength. The valley strips away illusions of control and reveals the power of dependence on the shepherd. It is in these moments that courage is born, perseverance is strengthened, and faith becomes unwavering. The valley, though uncomfortable, becomes a classroom where life lessons are taught, where spiritual muscles are exercised, and where character is formed. Furthermore, valleys teach hope. They remind us that no darkness is permanent, no difficulty is insurmountable, and no shadow can extinguish the light of God's presence. Every trial is temporary because the shepherd is leading us forward. Each step, even when painful, brings us closer to a place of peace, restoration, and fulfillment. The valleys prepare us to appreciate the mountains, to value the light after darkness, and to understand that life's challenges are opportunities for growth, not permanent setbacks. When we fully embrace the truth that valleys are temporary, we begin to move through them with courage and confidence. We face them not with despair, but with faith. We understand that the shepherd is guiding us, protecting us, and walking beside us every step of the way. In every valley, there is a promise of an emergence, a guarantee of deliverance, and an assurance that the journey continues toward hope, purpose, and joy. There is a profound comfort in knowing that God's goodness and mercy follow us every day, surrounding us with his presence and favor. Life often presents challenges, disappointments, and moments that test our faith. But the promise that goodness is pursuing us reassures us that we are never truly alone or abandoned. God's goodness is not passive, it is active, constantly at work in our lives, shaping circumstances, opening doors, and providing blessings in ways we may not immediately recognize. It is a divine pursuit that ensures no matter where we go or what we face, his hand is always at work on our behalf. When we understand this truth, our perspective on life changes. We begin to see obstacles not as dead ends, but as opportunities for God's goodness to manifest, and moments of uncertainty become platforms for His mercy to demonstrate its power. Mercy is another dimension of God's constant pursuit, where goodness represents His active provision and blessing. Mercy represents His compassion, forgiveness, and unearned favor. Mercy covers our shortcomings, shields us from the consequences of sin, and softens the harshness of life's trials. Every misstep, every failure, and every mistake is met not with condemnation, but with grace and understanding. This means that even when we stumble, when we fail to measure up, or when life seems to overwhelm us, we are never beyond the reach of God's mercy. It follows us relentlessly, ensuring that no matter how far we may feel from Him, there is always a path back into His loving care. The presence of God's goodness and mercy also transforms how we experience daily life. Ordinary moments, which may seem mundane or insignificant, become infused with divine purpose and meaning. When we wake in the morning, His mercy has already been active, protecting and sustaining us while we slept. When we step out into the world, His goodness is working behind the scenes, arranging circumstances, guiding decisions, and opening doors we may not even notice. This understanding allows us to move through life with confidence, knowing that we are not navigating challenges alone, and that every day holds the potential for blessings and divine encounters. Moreover, recognizing that goodness and mercy are following us inspires gratitude, faith, and hope. Gratitude arises because we begin to notice the ways God's hand has moved in our lives, both seen and unseen. Faith grows as we trust in His continual pursuit. Even when circumstances appear bleak or uncertain, hope is strengthened because we understand that no matter what we face, there is a loving, powerful presence that is actively working for our well-being. We can step into each day with courage, resilience, and peace, knowing that we are covered, protected, and guided by God's favor. Finally, the promise that goodness and mercy follow us changes the way we respond to life. It encourages generosity, patience, and compassion because we are living as beneficiaries of God's relentless pursuit of love. It reminds us that we can trust His timing, His plan, and His provision. Life's trials lose their power to intimidate, darkness loses its ability to overwhelm, and challenges are faced with the assurance that God's goodness and mercy are always present, always sufficient, and always actively pursuing us, guiding us toward blessing, peace, and ultimate victory.